Alright, so let's take a look at Empires versus Pulse. This is in the GosuLeague tournament. This is a tournament that's going on for a while now. I think they only have games once every few days, and the games are in an interesting format. I think they're best of two, so rather than sort of a best of three format, you can very easily have teams go 1-1. So one team wins one game, one team wins the other game. And this is going to be the first of two games played today. I think this is game one. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is game one between Empire and Pulse. These are two great teams, definitely among the higher tier of teams in the European Western Dota scene. So always like to see them play. Empire is quite a hot team right now. They were not able to win DreamHack, but part of the reason they didn't do that, I think they were favored going into it until it was learned that Blow Your Brain actually couldn't come. Blow Your Brain is Empire's carry player. Who the heck do they have him on? Queen of Pain? I'm actually on directed camera here. Who do they have? Okay, he's on Magnus, which is very, very interesting. But Blow Your Brain is their typical number one player. He gets the most farm on the team, and he was not able to attend DreamHack, and consequently, wow. They weren't able to do quite as well as they wanted to because, you know, when you have a stand-in, you don't have the same team dynamic that you do maybe with all five of your players there, so that they weren't able to perform that well. But they're a great team. One of the strongest teams in Europe. Absolutely no question. Russian-Ukrainian type team. And then Pulse are very, very good as well. They maybe didn't have the performance they wanted in DreamHack either. They've had some trouble recently. They tried to put up Darkseer up on the high ground there. They didn't quite get it. But they're still a team that has very inventive team compositions. They're strong. They can get great team fights. They have good poise. And it's always interesting to watch them. So I really did want to actually observe this game. We were a little late. I mean, the game ended before this game managed to begin, so we missed the draft phase of this game. But I know a lot of people don't like watching drafts anyway. I personally love drafts. I think drafts are incredibly interesting to watch because it's sort of a mind game between teams. But, you know, it's fine. Still sort of getting into the swing of this game. I haven't been paying attention since the beginning, so I'm sort of missing what's going on so far. But let's jump right into it. We've got an interesting matchup in the... Yeah, wow. Maybe I'll just start this over from before I missed every single one of these kills. So let's talk about the team's lineup and what their actual game plan is. So Empire has picked some traditional, very, very strong heroes. We're seeing a renaissance in Shadow Demon, which I'm not surprised to see. Shadow Demon is an extremely good hero. I thought that he was substantially underrated for a while, especially in the Sven-based metagame that we're currently seeing, where everybody always runs or bans Sven. I think Shadow Demon is a really good support because of his ability to disable heroes like Sven. And I was just surprised that we didn't see him more, but it's good that we are. So Empire have opted to go with the Shadow Demon, the Jakiro, Magnus, Darkseer, Queen of Pain. What's interesting about Empire's lineup is that they do not have a traditional carry. The closest thing they have to carries are Queen of Pain is capable of carrying sometimes. There's certain routes of builds that you can do with Queen of Pain, like Scotty, like Mask of Madness, which are very, very wacky, but it has happened before. You can go MKB, the Monkey King bar to deal more damage. So Queen of Pain has some auto attack capability, but it's not fantastic. And generally when you get farm on Queen of Pain, when you get a bunch of gold, you use it to build stuff like Aghanim's Scepter, which he may be building now, we'll see. This could be Scotty too. So Queen of Pain, magic damage dealer with a little bit of carry potential, and actually Magnus, who they do have their number one player on, so they have Blow Your Brain, who typically gets the most farm on this Magnus. This is an interesting choice because Magnus is also not traditionally a carry. Magnus is a initiator, team fight generator hero, and one of the most powerful heroes in the game currently. A lot of people are saying he's overpowered. He completely misses his skewer there, but you know, that'll happen sometimes. A lot of people are calling him overpowered. I don't generally like to call things overpowered, but if any hero is, Magnus probably is. He has an extremely strong ultimate on his reverse polarity. His skewer is incredible. He has two abilities that go through Black King Bar, which makes you nominally immune to magic. He has amazing long-range damage dealing. He's able to play in any lane. He's able to do the solo side lane by retreating whenever he's afraid of taking damage with Skewer and farming from afar with Shockwave. He deals great magic damage. You can build a lot of different items on him. In sum, Magnus is pretty good. And so I think the reason they have Blow Your Brain on him is Magnus actually does reward gold expenditure quite well. There are two routes of build that you could do with Magnus. I think, however, Blow Your Brain's inexperience with Magnus is showing a little bit. So people who train Magnus a lot, in the East you have Yao, on the LGD team, who's extremely good with Magnus. In the West, you have Demon plays Magnus a lot on Team Evil Geniuses. He also pulls off incredible plays with Demon, with Magnus. But I think you see that Blow Your Brain maybe hasn't been practicing Magnus quite as long as some of these other players because he is missing quite a few skewers. But what I was trying to say is there's multiple avenues that you can use gold on Magnus for. One is the pure team fight, and he may be going for that judging by this arcane boots, but I don't know yet. It's too early to call. The one route that goes full team fight is you go blink dagger, so you want to be able to jump in farther distances, and then you can skewer. For instance, if you've got a hero here and you're Magnus, you can blink beyond the hero and skewer them backwards into where your team is waiting. Or in mid, we've seen this a lot. You have the enemy mid hero here. You can blink and skewer them back into your tower. You can actually walk and skewer them back into your tower if you want. So that's one route. You go the blink, and then later on you go refresher orb. So refresher orb makes all of your cooldowns 0, so you can skewer, refresher skewer, or more likely you can skewer, use your reverse polarity ultimate, then use refresher, then skewer again, so you're moving the enemy team up to 2,000 units of distance while also stunning them for 4 seconds twice. It's pretty good. It's really mana intensive, so you actually need to have arcane boots on yourself, and usually I think you need arcane boots on somebody else on your team as well. But 2 arcane boots, which is a great pair of boots, is a small price to pay for obliterating the enemy team. And so Fishbone's in quite a bit of trouble here. They do actually miss the Jakiro stun. They do actually, yeah, they do. All right, so great skewer there by Blow Your Brain. He does manage to finally find the Rubik with that skewer, and that gives him his level 6. It gives him his reverse polarity. So that's Empire. I got distracted by talking about Magnus, but I haven't casted during the time that Magnus really became a ubiquitous hero. It became very, very clear shortly before DreamHack that Magnus was extremely strong and we were going to see him more, but he wasn't quite in the always locked state yet. So I wanted to make sure that people who might not watch that many Dota casts actually understand what the point of Magnus is. So to round out their team, they've got Funnick on the Queen of Pain to deliver lots of magic damage, and they've got these very traditional support / additional heroes with their Darkseer, very, very strong, Shadow Demon, good, Jakiro, the strongest support. So this homing missile, I don't know if this actually get Funnick. I don't think it will, because he can just keep blinking. Can he? Yeah, he won't. Oh, well, actually, I think... Bam! So it does land on him, doesn't kill him, but I did want to watch that because it's funny to me. Regen is in a lot of trouble here. They do actually have the Gyrocopter call them, but I don't think it will hit on you, but I think Regen's going to... Well, wow, great escape. I'm surprised he managed to live there. And they do actually manage to pick off 2 on the retreat, and Wagamama might be able to get Scandal. It's sort of a incoherent plan from Wagamama there. They couldn't figure out if he wanted to go for Scandal or if he wanted to go for Blow Your Brain, but he does actually manage to get him. Meanwhile, Blow Your Brain just jumps in, reverse polarities, and gets the double kill. Maybe triple? No, he doesn't get the triple. But good work for Blow Your Brain there to sort of recognize that he did have the double kill opportunity, maybe even triple kill, and go in on it. So good play from him, but also great play from Pulse to sort of take out. I think Empire went into that fight thinking they had the upper hand, but they weren't in quite as good shape as they wanted to be. So they did have the Shadow Demon. They did manage to get the plus 50% damage on. Is it 50 yet? No, the plus 30%. Plus 30% damage on Regen, but it wasn't enough to actually get the kill. So Regen managed to escape with his life on this bounty hunter, and Pulse manages to pick up some kills off of it. I don't think that many of their kills were track gold enabled, just because Regen had to run away because he was so low health. But a kill is a kill. It's fine. At this stage of the game, it's still pretty even. The reason it looks even though the kills are 5 difference, is because Empire still has all of their tier 1 towers up, and they've actually taken 3 towers off of Pulse. So that's about, 4,500, 5,000 gold advantage for them. But the flip side is they're down 5 kills, some of which may have been with track, so that sort of flips it, 4,000 the other way. So Empire are a little ahead on gold, but they're substantially behind on XP because you don't get any experience for killing a tower. Nobody on your team levels because you killed the tower. So Empire are behind on the level count, especially because they're teaming up so much and running as 3 or 4 in a lot of areas. So Pulse have a slightly more traditional lineup. This Gyrocopter has been an increasingly popular pick, which I think is hilarious. I love Gyrocopter, but he's always been sort of derided as a wacky hero with no actual viability. But I think people are learning how to sort of harness his unique strengths. So there are certain things about Gyrocopter that are really, really good. And there's 2 schools of thought on how to build Gyrocopter. So I want to talk about Gyrocopter a little bit. The one school of thought is what Wagamama is doing here. Is if you're the hard carry, you're acting as the carry for your team on Gyrocopter, you want to deal a ton of physical damage in the mid to late game. And the reason you want to do this is because you have this ability, Flak Cannon. Flak Cannon means that all of your attacks, well, for your next 6 attacks after you cast the spell, will hit everything in a 1,000 unit radius. So if you have a lot of damage items, and that's sort of why he has this phase boots. Phase boots gives you is the boot item you want if you want your boots to give you damage. If you want all of your items to give you the maximum amount of damage possible. So with phase boots and with additional damage items layered onto that, you can get to the point that your flak cannon, you can see he's going straight damage. So this is the sort of exciting new carry gyrocopter that we, I don't think we first saw it, but the greatest exemplar of it was the team Illuminate used it against team No Tide Hunter and Star Ladder. Sorry, I did miss that Queen of Pain Death, but you go pure damage, so you get this Demon Edge. This is another pure damage item. And just use your flak cannon. You can see he's going to actually farm the Ancients with this. Well, first he's going to stack them. If you pull... will they get Regen? They may well get Regen. This Shadow Demon purges up. Regen's going to be taking a lot of damage. He can try to get away. Oh, no, he can't. Ooh, rough. A lot of damage being focused on Regen there in the form of once Shadow Demon has that demonic purge on you, it's just so hard to get away because it starts out in an 80% slow or something, and then it tapers off, but it's still just incredible slow. And during that time, Jakiro can land all his stuff on you. If Darkseid decides to walk up, you take a ton of damage. Very unfortunate for Regen there, but it's okay. So you can see Gyrocopter is tearing through these creeps with his pure damage build and the ability to hit them all with Flak Cannon. So great way to farm. It's very, very... Almost all of the carries that are good right now, all the carries people actually want to play, are carries that have passive cleave. And the reason is that currently teams are doing a lot of stacking jungle camps for their teams. Everybody's stacking Ancients, and so there are a lot of really bunched up monsters. And if you have a natural cleave, like Gyrocopter does, like Luna does, like Sven does, you can take care of those stacks of creeps much earlier than maybe heroes that need to pick up an item to do it can. So this is the Gyrocopter philosophy, is get tons of damage and do tons of damage with Flak Cannon and max Flak Cannon first. The other way is to sort of play him as in a more early game ganking oriented lineup, which Pulse also very well could have gone this game. I think they had the option. They chose to do what they did. What is Blurburn actually going? So he's going Blink first. Blink first, it would be extremely typical, but I'm still interested in seeing if he actually does end up going the full teamfight build or if he goes a more damage oriented build with Battle Fury, which is what Dendi likes to do with his Magnus. But they're being chased by Wagamama here, so Wagamama, you can see he already has incredible damage. Just with this Demon Edge, because he got the Demon Edge so early, he's already just doing huge amounts of damage, and he's got this additional stun in his homing missile that has come in handy several times. Gyrocopter's ultimate, his stun, and his short-range rocket barrage all deal quite a bit of magic damage, so you can sort of say, I don't need the Flak Cannon quite this early if you don't think you're getting that great farm, or if you're not playing him as the #1. And you can deal a ton of magic damage early by maxing Rocket Barrage first, still having the rank in Homing Missile, and maybe like 1 or 2 ranks in Flak Cannon. But in this case, Wagamama has gone the full damage build. He is just using the Homing Missile, sort of an additional disable. It gives a stun up to 3 seconds at max rank. Missed this Templar. Templar Assassin's actually doing quite well as well. He's definitely having a more classic Templar Assassin game. Lately, we've been seeing Templar Assassins not produce quite as many kills across the map, but definitely in this game, I think Pinoy is doing very, very well of running around doing all the damage that he needs to. And Pulse just have this lineup that can deal just incredible. You can see they pick up another 3 kills there. Well, 2 kills, 1 with the Templar Assassin and 2 right there. With the combination of the disables that they're able to bring to bear and the great short-range damage that Gyrocopter can deal, it's very, very scary to be Empire, really at any point in this game, but particularly before 30 minutes, where Rubik can pick you up with Telekinesis, so that'll stun you. Lina can follow that up with the Light Strike Array, and then you're sort of at the mercy of this additional damage from Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter needs to get in close to deal damage with Rocket Barrage, and, I mean, Flak Cannon, he doesn't really care, but he doesn't need to actually be able to hit you, and he has short auto attack range. But you know that Gyrocopter can get his call down, which is on a delay. You know that it'll land his Rocket Barrage. He can deal damage with Flak Cannon. Bounty Hunter can start to go in on you and track you. And it's just going to be really, really rough. Regen has actually not been that much of a factor this game, and I think that's the silver lining for Empire, is that he's only 0-3 and 4. He's only participated in less than 25% of the kills that that Pulse have actually been able to get this game. So good news for Empire, Regen is not participating that much. They're actually going to stun him. They do have this Sentry Ward here. They don't have enough. They actually Sentry him again, but I don't know if they can catch him. They can't. Blurburn misses that skewer. To be fair to Blurburn, that skewer was always going to be very, very hard to hit on the Bounty Hunter. But they do spend a lot of Sentry Wards trying to get that kill. That was really optimistic. They're still going for him. This is incredible. Look at how many Sentry Wards they've expended just to try to kill Regen here. They really want to lock down that Bounty Hunter. Will they get him? Will they even get him? I don't know if they will. A lot of damage being dealt here, though. Great Macro Pyre. That was the sort of, even though they may have wanted to kill Rijin more than they strictly should have, they did manage to use all of their other abilities to get to secure the kill there. They do use the reverse polarity. Reverse polarity is a great setup for this Jakiro ult on this macro pyre. You could have the wall of replica down as well to generate illusions of your opponents, and all of a sudden you're just not that scared of that Gyrocopter because he's disabled, he's taking a ton of magic damage, and he's just having a lot of trouble. And the flip side of doing this massive damage Gyrocopter build, which Wagamama is absolutely committed to, going MKB, one of the absolute most dedicated damage items you could possibly go. The downside of this, the downside of not taking something like Black King Bar, is that if you do get disabled, if you do get hit by something like Skewer, like Reverse Polarity, like even the Shadow Demon Dispersion, you're in a world of pain when Queen of Pain, when Jakiro layer on their huge magic damage on top of that. And so in that fight, Wagamama simply was not able to come in and deliver damage. But so interesting back and forth here in that respect, right? So basically, whoever is able to get a more favorable initial position in these fights is going to really dominate the ensuing fight, because they're actually going to be able to land their disable combos and deliver the crazy damage that both teams are actually capable of doing. In terms of straight auto attack damage, I think Templar Assassin and Gyrocopter are going to rule the roost. But in terms of magic damage, combination damage, Empire have that locked on lock, because they've got this Queen of Pain. He went fast Aghanim Scepter to deal tons of damage with that ultimate. We've got the Jakiro, and we got the Magnus, and just all around just a magic damage dealing composition, which is what makes it interesting that Pulse did opt for that pure damage Gyrocopter instead of the BKB, because I feel like the BKB might lock down their plan a little more effectively. They do pick off Pinoy with relative ease there. He was sort of trapped trying to farm the Ancients. Empire, but Pulse think they can take it. They do deal a ton of damage. Scandal is able to get away with that Surge. Surge is great, obviously. Rubik actually stole Surge, so Wagamama was able to chase. Really great chase there, but he gets stunned by the Ice Path again. He's really getting hit by those disables. Great job by Region of tracking Bounty Hunter and managing to pick him off with that Shuriken toss. They're still chasing Scandal. I don't think it'll come to anything. But I think an even fight there, essentially. Trade Templar Assassin for 2 supports. About even. And Blow Your Brain gets a little bit of time to farm in the top lane. Still interested in what he's going to go. Because the interesting thing about this Magnus, you know how I said that there's 2 schools of thought about how you can build him? Both schools of thought involve going Blink Dagger first and then Perseverance, because, let me tell you about Perseverance. Perseverance is an item that gives you mana regen and health regen, 2 things that are great on Magnus, especially the mana regen, because he has such mana issues early. I mean, you can see he has a 705 mana pool at level 12, which is mid-game, and his ultimate ability costs 250. That's a lot of mana. So mana regen, good, always happy to see that. But the thing is, Perseverance can build into both of Magnus's big ticket huge items. So if he wants to go the damage, which I still think Blow Your Brain might be headed towards, just because he's a carry player by trade. Blow Your Brain is in trouble here, but Wagamama is actually in a way more trouble. Goodness gracious, he is just locked down right here. I think we're sort of seeing that this, I don't know, I really don't know about this pure damage build from Wagamama, because that sort of stuff can just happen to you, and what recourse do you have if your teammates aren't around? Great reverse polarity there, almost defensive, but they're going to turn this right around and manage to kill at least one of these guys, probably both. Queen of Pain picks them both off. Great team play for Empire there. They were down a lot of kills, and now they're catching up. Fishbone's in trouble. He was way out of position. Well, he's not out of position, but he was sort of coming in to defend his teammates. Realized they were dead, tried to walk away, got Shadow Demon disabled. And now we're seeing just sort of the poise of Empire, their ability to play just incredibly well. You see Queen of Pain using her ultimate. Once you have your Aghanim Scepter, you can actually use the Queen of Pain ultimate just to farm, because you already have a decent mana regen, and the cooldown on it is so short. It's only 70 seconds, 40 seconds at max rank, that you can sort of be like, oh, well, you know, we just killed them all. We're not going to use it anytime soon. We could just use it to clear out this creep wave. So they're going to tick down Roshan. And so what I was saying about Perseverance. Perseverance builds into Battle Fury to give you the cleave, and the reason cleave is good on Magnus is he can cleave himself already with Empower to give himself 50% more damage and 50% cleave radius. And he can get additional cleave with the Battle Fury, and then skewer reverse polarity, and then just smack the hell out of the team that he just stunned. So that's one route. The other route is this Refresher Orb to reset your cooldowns and get 2 reverse polarities in. So that's the other option. Interestingly, because it's early enough in the game and Pulse weren't high level enough to be taken out of the game very long, even though they lost all of their heroes, well, 4 of their heroes, Empire weren't actually able to fully take Roshan down. So we might see Pulse actually taking Roshan for themselves. This is very bad for Empire, because essentially what they've done is given Pulse plenty of head start on this Roshan. And because Gyrocopter deals so much damage, he can take that Roshan down very quickly. So, Empire, great team fight, but a fairly serious tactical mistake afterwards of taking part of the Roshan down and then having to run away. What they should have done, I think, was predicted that they wouldn't have enough time to take down Roshan all the way because they didn't have any any armor reduction abilities, and not sort of fed it to Pulse, because once actually Pulse was already in with a Roshan at 25%, it wasn't especially favorable for Empire to rush in and try to kill them. They still had the Queen of Pain ultimate down. I think they had Wall of Replica, but I don't know if they had Reverse Polarity quite yet. So, not a great move by Empire, and now we talked about how Wagamama's plan, what Wagamama's plan is to survive the damage the magic damage that they can deal on Empire, and I think his plan in the near term at least is Aegis of the Immortal. So 1-up, you don't need to, when you can live twice, you don't really need to worry about dying once to a ton of magic damage. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he goes next. He has options. He could go Butterfly. I don't think it would be that great of an item against Empire, but it would give him some damage and attack speed. He could go another damage item. I still think he should probably go BKB, but I'm a conservative player like that. I like to see people go the items that will let them do their game plan, and BKB is the ultimate don't mess with me in my game plan item. Interesting fight here between Funnick and Pinoy, but we see Pinoy doing quite well for himself. Funnick actually has this GoScepter, which is smart. You saw just how much damage he took from Pinoy there. He could have very easily been killed if he didn't have the GoScepter to prevent himself from taking damage. But he turns it red. Oh, wow. Brutal fight. Wow. So he got stunned by the Ice Path. Queen of Pain went back in, used the ultimate to bring him down extremely low, and Pinoy just turns and is like, what? No. And he just one-shots Templar Assassin in response. So he does manage to die because obviously Jakiro is right there, and he was going to die regardless, but he takes the Queen of Pain down with him. And I think as we keep going, we'll sort of see this Templar Assassin gaining an increasing advantage over the Queen of Pain, just because the hero scales a little better in terms of the attack damage. And you see he is going a damage build as well. He went the Desolator. This is great. This is going to be especially good with the Gyrocopter to additionally reduce the armor of the targets. And then after the Desolator, he's going, so basically whenever you see Broadsword, Blades of Attack, the only thing that these two items build into is Chrysalis, which is a component of the item Daedalus. And what Daedalus and Chrysalis do is they give you crit. So they give your attacks a chance to have a critical strike. So even this is called Baby Crit, and this is Big Crit essentially. The Baby Crit item, Chrysalis, gives you a 20% chance to deal 175% damage. So that's great on Templar Assassin. She's already extremely bursty. Her Meld adds flat damage to her next attack. Her Refraction adds flat damage to her next attack. And with this Desolator, she does more damage due to the armor reduction. So, you know, if that can crit for double, fantastic. And then if you can upgrade it later into the Daedalus by adding on a Demon Edge, that gives you more base damage, and it means that your critical damage is now 270%. So you know you're dealing more and more and more damage if you don't get disabled. So you can see Pulse still feeling like they could play pretty aggressively, because BKB is also a very common item on Templar Assassin after Blink Dagger, maybe after Desolator, and he also hasn't gone BKB. Let's check in on Gyrocopter Wagamama and see what he's done. He has bought something. What has he bought? BKB. So, okay. Good job, Wagamama. You have the approval of a bad player. He has gone the BKB. He is going to try to live through this extreme magic damage. I think that's very, very smart. It would be very not intelligent of him to do anything else. But you can see that Empire's plan is also a little bit starting to take shape. Funnick was in a lot of trouble there from the Templar Assassin Bounty Hunter combo, but the GoScepter saved him again. So I think GoScepter is key to the idea of not dying to Gyrocopter, right? Because if you can't get actually hit by melee attacks, from this Templar Assassin, from this Bounty Hunter, from this Gyrocopter, at this point, you are not afraid of Pulse. If you can't take that much physical damage, like if you have a lot of armor, if you have a GoScepter, you are just not afraid of Pulse. They are going to stun Blurrybrain. Blurrybrain will die here, actually. Unfortunately, he was not quite able to teleport in time. Teleport from Town Portal Scrolls can be interrupted by any form of disable, so the lift from the telekinesis will interrupt it. That's what they used. Lift was there, Templar Assassin was there, Blurrybrain died. And he did go the Battle Fury in the end. So that was, if you'll remember, what I was leading towards. So good call by me, in my opinion. He does go the Battle Fury. He is sort of their carry insofar as they have a carry, and that's sort of their game plan there. But as for the rest of them, ooh, Funnick jumping in. Where is he? Oh, they managed to pick off Region here. Region sort of pushed his luck. They have a Region hunting item, which is this Gem of True Sight. So you'll definitely see this Queen of Pain wandering around just trying to kill this Bounty Hunter constantly. And the more they can sort of keep this Bounty Hunter oppressed and keep him kept down, the easier of a time they'll have later on. Just because they won't have to worry about Bounty Hunter picking up a lot of kills. They won't have to worry about Bounty Hunter leveraging kills with his track gold. And then you can just sort of make sure that he stays below the level curve, which I think he is right now. Yeah, he's only level 13. The movers and shakers on both teams are sort of 16 to 18, so not Region's greatest time ever, but he is being hunted very aggressively by this Queen of Pain. You can see he's gone Vlad's, which is sort of a support choice on Bounty Hunter. It's going to give lifesteal to other heroes, mainly the Templar Assassin. Or does it actually work on Templar Assassin? I do not know if lifesteal works on Templar Assassin. I think it does. The question I'm having here is that Vladimir's offering only affects melee units, and Templar Assassin is kind of like a ranged melee hybrid unit, so I'm not 100% sure if it affects her. I do know that it will not affect Gyrocopter, so that's something. New team fight going on here. They are going to land at least the first part of the call down. Blurrybrain manages to avoid the second part just by being stuck on a disable. But Gyrocopter now has BKB, and now it's going to be very, very tough. So this BKB for Gyrocopter is huge. It's also hilarious to watch this extremely golden Gyrocopter running around. Scandal does pop his Shivas to try to escape. Shiva slows down the enemy. Good ultimate from Funnick, but I'm not sure it's quite enough. Pulse are still on the warpath, still able to just... Wow, that damage for that Gyrocopter is great at this point. He's got the BKB... He's got the Monkey King, the MKB, and all sorts of things ending in KB. And so, tough fight, you gotta say, for Empire there. They do manage to strip off the Aegis, but other than that, they lose 4 heroes. They aren't able to get much of anything. And I think they might lose Rax here, too, actually. What's our buyback status? Darkseer can buy back, and he's the one with the longest respawn time. Magnetor, unfortunately, cannot buy back. Is he really only 40 gold away? No, he can buy back. So Magnetor can buy back. I think they probably need to have the rest of their buybacks. I'm surprised that they actually decided to give away this Rex. They really need everybody in here, otherwise this is not going to go well for them. They're going to lose this Rex. Good ultimate from Funnick again, but wow, picked right off. He didn't last much. He didn't last very long at all. Gallblack is in here. He puts down the macro power, but he's not able to actually combo with anybody because nobody else is here. He dies. Blurrybrain does actually get in there. He does manage to cast some things, but not quite enough at this point. They do lose Rax without much of a response. 2 for 2. Or even 3. Yeah, it looks like a 2 for 2 trade. And they lose the Rax, and they lose the tier 3 tower, and the tier 2 tower, and the entire previous team fight. So you gotta say that Pulse has a fairly commanding lead now. It's probably about, I think, raising to like 8-9k. Oh wow, no, 12k. So it's gotta be tough for Empire to come back now. I think the choice of their carry in this game was just extremely non-traditional, and consequently, because Magnus really is not able to ramp up that well in damage, they're going to fall increasingly further behind a Pulse team that has the Daedalus now finished on Templar Assassin. They have they have MKB on Gyrocopter. What is he making next? Oh, he's making Heart. So really cool. I do like this build from Waga. It led to some mid-game jitters when he had all the damage, but he wasn't actually able to survive. But now, as soon as he finishes this Heart of Tarask, he will be able to survive very, very, very well. So he already has all the damage he wants. He's sort of comfortable with the amount of damage he's dealing. And now he's able to just go pure survivability. So he went the BKB, and you saw that really come into effect in the last team fight. Empire just had a very, very difficult time actually disabling the Gyrocopter in any meaningful way. And now, in addition to the BKB, he's going to say, okay, fine, you may still be able to damage me using non-magic sources, but I'm going to put the game away completely by giving myself a Heart of Tarask, the maximum sort of survivability item you can have, give myself a ton of health, a ton of strength, and I'll be unkillable and still deal tons of damage to you in every single team fight. So, tough times for Empire, I gotta say. Like, Blurrybrain's getting fine farm, but he needs far more actual damage items to be able to contest the damage coming out from this Pulse team. That, or they need to be able to survive fights better, and right now they aren't able to. Their supports are still getting picked apart just by the supports and the Bounty Hunter on Pulse. So they're not quite at the point where they're actually comfortable. This Shadow Demon is making Heaven's Halberd. This is going to be Heaven's Halberd. So Sange, weird choice, but the reason he's making that Sange is he wants to turn it into a Halberd. So the reason you make Heaven's Halberd is because it disarms opposing carries. Their idea is, okay, you're right. We can't kill the Gyrocopter unless maybe we get him solo. But what we can do is disarm him for 4.5 seconds. Heaven's Halberd disarms a ranged target like Gyrocopter for almost 5 seconds, but a melee target for only 3 seconds. So it's especially good against ranged carries like Gyrocopter, like Sniper. So they've decided to sort of start building this Heaven's Halberd on Shadow Demon. The tough thing is, it's hard to build big ticket items like Heaven's Halberd on a hero who's 0-9 in the game. Great defensive call down here to slow down Empire's heroes just as they poured in to defend. Pulse were just doing that exclusively to escape, to sort of not have to not fight a fight on their terms. Call down, it doesn't deal that much damage unless you're able to hit both components of it. So, and it's got a very short cooldown, so it's very okay to use it in sort of strategic ways, but not really team fight ways like they did in that particular fight. So Empire are trying to make a stand here, and I think Pulse are okay with that. They're going to go get Roche, I think. Roche is back up. I think they'll probably go in on him. They were just checking to see if he's alive. He is. So I think Pulse's next target is going to be actually pick up this Roche. Templar Assassin, one of the good features of her is with her meld, she's able to reduce the armor of your target. Roshan is very, if you're able to reduce Roshan's armor, the fact that he has tons of HP is less of a factor. So you can use heroes like Templar Assassin, like Slardar, to make sure that you get those Roshan kills in a timely fashion and make it harder to disrupt you. So they put this time they put the, ooh, am I lagging out? There's a weird bit of lag there. So this time they put the Aegis on Templar Assassin, and the reason they do this is I think their hard on Gyro is done. Their hard on Gyro is almost done. And so they're like, okay, you can't kill our Gyro anyway, so we don't really need to give him a 1-up. We'll give a 1-up to another hero who's also doing a ton of damage, but is in a lot more danger. So this is interesting. I don't know what this Vitality booster is for. I wonder if he's also making hard. This is brutal. Wow. Yeah, so what they also did was get Aghanim Scepter on Lina. So if they do catch out a hero from Empire alone or in a group of 2 or something, they can kill him very, very easily. So in that case, they find Blow Your Brain. In theory, Magnetor can escape almost any difficult situation just by using Skewer. But in that, oh, and Empire decides to GG out. Yeah, I think they just feel that they can't come back. And I think that's probably accurate. It would be very, very difficult for them to actually come back from this. So I think we're going to go to game 2. So we'll never know what Templar Assassin was building. I think he might have also been building Heart. So Pulse sort of understanding that Empire deals a ton of damage, but also understanding that Empire's damage comes in A, magic, and B, burst. So they deal a lot of damage in a short period of time. And if you're able to survive that, if you have the sheer beefiness to do it, then you can bring to bear the incredible damage that comes out on your Gyrocopter and your Templar Assassin, and even eventually your Bounty Hunter, because he was getting kind of scary by the end there. So definitely interesting. I don't know how he's able to sit in Fountain like that. Still things I don't know about this game. But definitely an interesting game. It's always good to see Pulse doing well. I was a little worried about them because a lot of their teams respond poorly to adversity, and I know they were sort of on a losing streak. But I think we're seeing a renewed Pulse now, sort of determined to use, again, somewhat unconventional picks, although this Gyrocopter is coming into regular rotation, but he's still fun to see. And definitely the builds they used were definitely all in, somewhat unorthodox builds. You wouldn't usually go the Monkey King Bar first on the Gyrocopter. You might start by trying to survive with Black King Bar or something. But, you know, I like it a lot, and it definitely paid off, and they managed to lead to them dominating teamfights and really making Empire seem like they were a little driftless in terms of not having a plan to actually win. So we're going to take a quick break. I think there's going to be the second game of these guys coming up very, very soon, so we'll take a look at the second game coming up in just a minute.